Amateur radio news and notes for Friday, October 10th, 2025. I'm Ed Kabik, November 2 Echo Charlie. In the log this week, we remember Ken Villone, KU2US, the founder of the 13 Colonies special event, who sadly is now silent key. We also get an update on the FCC licensing systems being unavailable due to the government shutdown, and give a reminder about the ARRL requests for amateurs contacting representatives about the Amateur Radio Emergency Preparedness Act. We also take a look at some MVARC Nets on the air, see what's happening with DX, get a solar activity update, talk about some upcoming contests, and finally, take a look at some interesting online radio content. Ken Villone, KU2US, the founder of the very popular 13 Colony special event, has passed away. Ken served in the United States Army from 1968 to 1973 and had a career as a real estate appraiser. The 13 Colonies special event has become an annual staple of the amateur radio calendar around Independence Day, when operators chase stations from the 13 original colonies and from the UK and France. Each year it has grown dramatically and brought a lot of excitement to the community. Ken and his contributions to our hobby will be greatly missed. We send our deepest condolences to his family and friends. His obituary can be found at a link in the show notes. And now providing a little bit of an update here, the ARRL reported that the core is the registration system used by new applicants to get an FCC FRN, which is a requirement for those who wish to take the test and do not already have one. It remains offline due to the government shutdown. Now, in the interim, the ARRL has established some new procedures here that allow for tests with the ARRL VEC to be taken without having an FRN, so that the process can be completed when one is able to be obtained by the applicant. FCC systems went offline around 1 p.m. Eastern Time on October 1st, and the FCC is not processing any amateur radio license applications during the shutdown. This includes individual club and exam session applications for new and upgrading licensees. There are details and updates from the ARRL that can be found at a link in the show notes. And now, once again, just reminding you that the American Radio Relay League is asking that American amateur radio operators contact their representatives and senators in support of the Amateur Radio Emergency Preparedness Act. The legislation seeks to give amateur radio operators rights equal to the users of antennas for broadcast television, wireless internet, and flagpoles. The bills, H.R. 1094 in the House and S. 459 in the Senate, seek to prevent overly restrictive Homeowners Association or HOA regulations that prohibit the installation of antennas even when they're placed inconspicuously. The ARRL asks that all amateur radio operators go to send-a-letter.org/HOA, which will allow for a letter to be sent on your behalf to your representatives and senators. I did this, and it was super easy and very quick. More information can be found at links in the show notes, and definitely encourage you to do it. Even if you don't have those restrictions, there are a lot of amateur radio operators out there who do, and this may make it a little easier for them to enjoy the hobby. And now let's talk about MVARC Nets on the air. We have our 2-meter FM net on Tuesdays at 7 p.m. on the repeater, which is immediately followed by our 2-meter digital net that is using Yaesu's System Fusion C4 FM. On the weekends, we have the MVARC Slow Speed CW Roundtable on Saturday and Sunday at 7:30 a.m., and that's at 3.565 megahertz on CW. That is followed at 8:30 a.m. on Saturday and Sunday with the MVARC Cherry Tree Net, where we always have a lively and fun discussion. And of course, you're always welcome to join us on 3.920 megahertz lower sideband. Hope to see you there. And now let's take a look at what is happening with DX. There will be a good amount of DX on the bands this week, including Svalbard, Manihiki Atoll in North Cook Islands, Chatham Islands, Vanuatu, Niue, Greenland, Guatemala, Madagascar, Burkina Faso, Marcus Island, Minami Torishima Islands, Colombia, Mali, Kuwait, Solomon Islands, and Antarctica. A calendar of DXpeditions can be found at dxnews.com/calendar. And now it's time for a solar activity update. As we go to press, the Solar Flux Index, or SFI, was 122, and the estimated sunspot number was 87, with 4 numbered sunspot regions visible from Earth. Over the last week, the SFI has decreased. Solar activity has been at moderate levels recently, and the geomagnetic field was at quiet levels, with the KP index reaching 4 yesterday. The solar wind peaked at 1,124 kilometers per second, and solar activity is predicted to be low, with geomagnetic activity at quiet levels today, quiet to active levels on Saturday, and at unsettled to minor storm levels on Sunday. The chance of solar radiation storms at the S1 or greater level is low at 5% today through Saturday and at 1% on Sunday. R1 to R2 radio blackouts are possible in the near term with a predicted probability of 25% through Sunday, and R3 or greater blackouts are unlikely with a 5% chance predicted through Sunday. There's a chance of 6-meter propagation, so keep an eye on the band and spotting clusters to be ready for the next time the magic band does its thing. It remains a fantastic time for amateurs to get on the air and work the world. Good sources of real-time solar information include spaceweatherlive.com and solarham.com. A good overview of conditions can be found at dx.qsl.net/propagation. To see D-layer absorption data and associated radio blackouts, go to the NOAA DRAP page, and to see real-time maximum usable frequency, or MUF, and critical frequency, or FOF2 information from Radiosonde data, visit prop.kc2g.com. And now let's take a look at some upcoming contests. On the contest calendar this weekend, we will see the ARRL EME contest, the MacRothen RIDI contest, the QRP ARCI Fall QSO Party, the Nevada QSO Party, the Arizona QSO Party, the Pennsylvania QSO Party, the South Dakota QSO Party, the Oceania DX contest on CW, the SKCC Weekend Sprintathon, the Scandinavian Activity Contest on SSB, the PODXS 070 Club 160-meter Great Pumpkin Sprint, the UBA ON Contest on CW, and the 4 States QRP Second Sunday Sprint. As always, the K1USN SSTs, MSTs, and CWTs will also be on the air. A full contest calendar with events and exchanges can be found at contestcalendar.com. And finally, let's wrap things up with some interesting online radio content. Dr. Tamitha Skov, WX6SWW, discusses some recent solar conditions and gives her forecast. Evan, K2EJT, discusses his favorite field keys. Josh, Kilo India 6 November Alpha Zulu, tests the Comet ground-independent mobile antennas. Walt, K4OGO, answers some questions about Great Circle maps, saltwater effects, and some classic radios. Snorin takes a look at the Hack RF Porta RF. Mike, K8MRD, tests using USB power delivery to get full output on a Yaesu FTX 1F. Nanofix compares Kester solder with the SaneSmart brand. Steve, KM9G, tests chameleon coils. Kevin, KB9RLW, tests out a Delta loop-on ground antenna. Matt, M0DQW, builds a 10-meter Moxon antenna. George, VK2AOE, goes portable in New Zealand. Walt, K4OGO, talks about the HOA bill before Congress and asks for your help. Mike, K8MRD, activates in Arkansas. And finally, Kevin, W1DED, talks about the upcoming CQ Worldwide CW contest with Dan N6MJ. Well, that is it for this week. As always, I've been Ed, November 2 Echo Charlie. Thanks, as always, for joining us. We hope you have a great week ahead. Best 73, and we'll see you again next week.